you idiot.
You're drinking the wrong water.
Gatorade.
H2O.
Gatorade.
H2O.
Water sucks. It really, really sucks. Water sucks.
So it's got
It
fail.
really, really
You don't
sucks.
You're bad people.
And with that, we are off. Welcome back to All the Right Movies, everyone. Tonight is The Waterboy, and thought we'd just start by reminding everyone that water sucks. It really, really sucks. Oh, gosh. Welcome aboard. It's college football season coming up in under 50 days. And I figured with the release, whether you bought it for yesterday or waiting till Thursday, we've got the 10-year awaited release of NCAA EA Sports Football coming back. So I figured what better time to tell a heartwarming story of people doing really bad Cajun accents and at a mythical university. Was it Southwest or South Central Louisiana State University? That's right. It's The Waterboy starring Adam Sandler. Before we get going, let's take a look and see who's in here. Aaron Kane says good evening, and and the bullets are already flying. Will Farmer Fred Sacco make an appearance? Let's see what happens. I'm sure when Fred sees that, we'll be off and running. Tonight, as you might have noticed, it's just me. This was kind of a wild week for me, so I didn't really have time to chase down a co-host. And to be honest, I want to see if I can carry one of these without some help on the side. So let's get going. The Waterboy came out November 6th, 1998. Now remember the November 6th date, because that's going to play a part in some of our, let's just say, unintentional comedy portion of the show. It came out on November 6th, so it comes out at the end of the year, still makes close to $148 million to be the fifth highest grossing movie of the year. It would go on to gross, well, one site said 186 million, but apparently it just keeps raking it in, and it's up to about 198 million worldwide now, on a budget of rumored around $23 million. Just to give you an idea, that it came out the same year as Titanic. Titanic was the number one grossing movie that year, followed by Armageddon. Love Armageddon. If I had chosen to do more than sports movies, I could do a two-parter on just the joy of Armageddon. Saving Private Ryan was number 3, and another comedy, There's Something About Mary, and another fantastic comedy, came in at number 4. Roger Ebert, little rough on this. I'm a Roger Ebert fan, but I realize that he wants some sort of story going all the time, like as a hard part of the show. And he never really enjoyed like silly comedy. He didn't mind gross comedy, but it had to be higher brow. And I think sometimes he just wasn't in the mood for a comedy. Roger gave this 1 star, one star only. And one quote I took from the review was, he starts off talking about how he sat down with his popcorn. He really liked Adam Sandler, so he was looking forward to giving Adam Sandler a positive review. And the quote was, and then Adam Sandler spoke and all was lost. Rough break for Adam Sandler there. Rotten Tomatoes, I think, captures exactly how this movie went down with anybody. It was a Rotten Tomato, only 33% of the critics giving it a positive review, but the audience giving it a 71% positive review. I compare that in a way to one of my favorite kind of under the radar movies that gained a lot of steam on DVD, on cable, and that sort of thing. And that was The Guardian with Kevin Costner. I think the Coast Guard hadn't really had its own movie yet. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everybody in it. The critics were mostly unimpressed. I think it was in the 40s, but the audience liked it at about a 70 or 80% clip. So again, sometimes the critics and the audiences just don't agree. It was directed by a guy that I'm guessing doesn't pop to any of your minds, to the front of your mind, Frank Caracci. And if you remember the last scene of The Waterboy, you had Roberto, the Waterboy's, Bobby Boucher's long lost dad, coming out to try and talk him into, leading with him, hey, let's go to the NFL. I'll be your agent. We'll be buddies just like Tiger Woods and his daddy. And then, Mom Kathy Bates wipes him out. Well, Frank Caracci was the director of The Waterboy, and he didn't have a bad record as a comedy director. Waterboy was far and away his greatest success. He also did The Wedding Singer and Click with Adam Sandler, and then he did Zookeeper and Here Comes the Boom, personal favorite of mine. The kids really enjoyed it. But Here Comes the Boom, both of those with Kevin James. And there you were. There's your basic just info on the movie itself. So let's talk about the plot. I'm going to start off this one. The whole thing is ludicrous, but I'm not really going to give it a ludicrous award because it's a comedy, and we all know going in with Sandler, it's just going to be goofy as hell. There's not going to be a lot, people aren't going to get caught up too much in the realism of it or anything like that. So they're not trying to put a ludicrous plot on a serious subject. The way I usually like to have somebody in here, and I do it, is just like, all right, you're the writer or the director, whoever, going in with your pitch to the producers, the people with the money. Let fire in a few sentences, go. What's the plot? What's going to sell you on this movie? And it's like, well, a water boy picked on and then fired by the Louisiana Cougars, volunteers for the non-existent water boy position to work for free at South Central Louisiana State University. Turns out, because of all the stored up anger in him, that he's actually a massive tackler. After wiping out one of the players, first he pokes him in the eye, and then he wipes him out, and then he becomes the star. He's an All-American. He's on SportsCenter the next day. They end up with a winning record, then go back to play the team that bullied and abused him before, and they go on to play in a non-existent Bourbon Bowl game. And we're going to have all the guys from ESPN throughout the movie, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think? And somebody said, you got me. By that time, Sandler might have had enough of his own money to go, I'll chip in a little myself. But there's your basic plot for The Waterboy. Let's check into the comments real quick before we start getting into our favorite scenes. Jason Reeves, excellent. Ed Orgeron was great as Farmer Fran. I'm telling you what, no one probably took as much shit over the years for resembling Farmer Fran as Ed Orgeron. You could understand Ed most of the time. Blake Clark as Farmer Fran is just gibberish. I can't imagine that. I hope the people of Southern Louisiana and the Bayou folk had a good sense of humor, because they were, probably not presented in the smartest or best light. Let's see what else we got. Don't forget Children of the Corn. And then Aaron Kane, that's a foreshadowing. We will be talking about our good friend Captain Insano before this one is over, I assure you 100%. So let's get to what our best scenes are. And this week, we focus on the best scenes, some of the best lines, and then we like to get into categories like comedy, unintentional or not, the quality of the sports themselves being played, the music, are there adrenaline scenes, montages, what's the rewatchability ranking of the show, and one that you're never going to have all of these categories in one night. And one category we will not have tonight is the Oscar reboot. Hey, were there some good performances here that maybe should not have been left out because of the sports? And the quick answer to that, no, I don't think Waterboy was cheated out of any Oscars. When I was looking for awards, I was surprised not to see anything like the Razzies, the Razzie Awards for worst performance, worst movie, and all that kind of thing. So I think it did well enough where it just kind of landed in the middle. I think to be a true Razzie winner, you have to. The movie can't just stink and get shit on by the critics, but it has to die at the box office as well. And this was, here's one of our little trivia things. It's the highest grossing. It was the highest grossing sports movie or sports comedy of all time, and I think still is to this day. Propel gets me through these. So let's start going to what's our favorite scene as we get going here. I'll say during the scenes as you hear them, if you've already got one, let fly. Tell me in the comments what was your favorite scene. You can wait till we get through them. I've only got 7 tonight, although one of them is going to be a lot longer than all the others, and I think we know what that is. But we start off with him at University of Louisiana, the Cougars, I believe, coached by Jerry Reed, and he's being bullied. He was saying something like, "Don't destroy the water. If you're gonna do something, just rough me up." And the guy's like, "Sounds good." And they all proceed to just kind of dangle him by his legs mostly. And then Jerry Reed catches sight of it, and he's like, "I thought I told you to fire that dumb bastard last season." And it's like, "Yeah, but he's great with the water. He's great at distracting my football team." And so, yeah, Waterboy's fired, kicked out of there. You get to see Meanie. They're not even hiding it with this guy. The big number 72 who'll come in to play fullback for one disastrous play in the Bourbon Bowl. He's the one picking on him right away. But yeah, number 72, huge monstrous guy, and last name, Meanie. It's probably Meaney instead of Meanie. But yeah, Meanie. But that scene's pretty funny. You get that the Waterboy gives off this. He just gives off this presence, this personality that says, "Pick on me, bully me," and everyone takes advantage. Like, just people become horrible people around him because they can't resist picking on him. The second scene is the first practice. You watch them out there. Here they are in practice. They're pitching the ball the wrong way while they're running plays. You get to meet Farmer Fran running around and yelling at everybody. And then here's Coach Klein just doing weird Coach Klein stuff on the bench. I think he's sitting there reading, Coaching Football for Dummies or something like that. And then you get to meet the quarterback, G Grenoir or something, Grimoire. And he's one of, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but you'll see like a couple of him and then the linebacker are two of Sandler's like lifetime buddies that he manages to stick into most of his movies. Well, boy, is he good at playing a freaking jerk in this. He's like running shoulders into the Waterboy even when he's playing well. He run like the only successful play I think they run offensively before the second half of the Bourbon Bowl is he wants to do a little running back flare, running back out flare, hits him so he'll go crashing the Waterboy into the water and the benches and wipe him out and everything. And then we have people spitting in the water. I don't know why. I can watch a horror movie and just be grossed out left and right, and it doesn't really bother me. But these guys hawking bugs, first it's the linebacker goes over, "Hey, Waterboy, take a look at this." I'm not going to do it, but and just spits a mouthful of crap into the water. And then you have a flashback to back when he was with Louisiana going, "Hey, guess what? Apparently when you've got a Waterboy that screams pick on me, then you spit in everybody's water." I don't know how that's supposed to affect the Waterboy because he appears to be about the only one not drinking the water except taste testing it. But no, they're spitting all over it. And then you have that flashback though, and after the guy spits into it, Waterboy, like 8-year-old Waterboy who somehow as a little kid was Louisiana's Waterboy, grabs the spittoon ladle or the lade of the water ladle and just comes over and is getting ready to to smack him, and he does the whole and comes charging, and then Jerry Reed, were you about to smack my All-American linebacker in the back of the head? And so then you kind of flash forward, and we've gone from him being picked on for a few minutes to looking at Grimoire there under center and making his first big charge, and blam, and there's Henry Winkler as coach, Mr. Coach Klein, and Coach Klein was like, "Can you do that for me on Saturdays?" It's like you've suddenly got like Thomas Davis just popping up as a Waterboy, and here he is on your bottom of the barrel. I'd say they're probably on one of the lowest mid-major Division I conferences of football, like Conference America or something like that. And and there he is. You've got an All-American. Now you just have to find a way to bring it out of him. And I believe they come back like the next practice, and he's working with him, like having him imaging things he hates. And let's get into the comedy right here, because at first he goes and he's like hugging the guy. He's like, tackle this guy, and he's hugging the guy, trying to take him down, and it's kind of creepy. And then he goes, no, really let him have it, and comes up and boink, pokes him in the eye, and then tells him, Captain Insano knows no mercy. and that's, I'm going to skip ahead to the comedy category, because for me, Captain Insano is one of the funniest things about this movie. It's like, Captain Insano, much like Randy Gregory after a bowl, feels no pain. But he was played by Paul White, known in WWE circles as the Big Show. And you first see him, it didn't make a whole scene out of this, but he's sitting in bed, and here's Captain Insano, and they're taking calls. It's where he calls in and asks him, I can't help but notice you sweat a lot. Would you have a need for the services of your own personal water boy? And he's like, that's great. How old are you, kid? And he's like, 31. And Captain Insano does the best laugh. Like, Paul White is literally cries himself into laughing. And Paul White, well, pro wrestler, big guy, he's over years been one of the best in front of a camera, and it is really funny and expressive. So he's just perfect for that. And you hear expressions like they refer to Captain Insano after that throughout the movie, which kind of leads to the next scene. And it's another one, just kind of sets the stage for everything. It's Colonel Sanders, Colonel Sanders, like animal biology class or whatever the hell that was. And it's the one where Bobby, hey, what's the answer to this? Why is alligator so ornery? It's like, Mama says they so ornery because they have so many teeth and no toothbrush. And I wonder, somebody before the show, and they must have knocked those comments out, mentioned that line. And what is it? It ends with him storming out of class mad. Colonel Sanders, not really knowing him, it figures, hey, I'm going to get off one more zinger. Says, I wonder what Mama thinks of his medulla oblongata or whatever. And he turns around, wipes him out. And Mama's not wrong. You are, Colonel Sanders. And that whole scene is just fantastic. And then Colonel Sanders is the guy that just shows up for the rest of the movie, black eye and, apologizing to his mom. And I think at one point he just gets hit by a stray football in the head for no reason. And it's just wonderful because Colonel Sanders is a jerk. That's our third scene. Our fourth scene is the first game. I never could really, I think it ended up being Western Mississippi they played, but you don't find out until the Sports Center scene afterwards. But yeah, that's the one where this guy's proven he can kill the team in practice. And then the offense, which does nothing, here comes, G. Grandma off the field, slams the shoulder into Sandler and calls him Needle Dick. And then you have then he imagines the other team, Needle Dick. So he starts wiping him out. There they are, I think, like 0-0, and he used the timeout. The second half, he probably, he's still wiping him out, but a couple of fuck ups. Calls timeout to go get the refs some water, which I just thought was just funny. And then, here's the team, then, still hating him. But then he has, you have the guy, and I think the guy who played this number 62 offensive tackle, it turned out he was one of the few guys who looked like they played some football, but he played for Florida. And, Bobby, knocks the one there, gets it, throws it to 62, who runs for the touchdown as time expires, and Bobby goes in and drop kicks him. And because he insulted Mama. He said something about his mama, or he imagined it, and he just went 62. And then all he was looking for on the last play is to wipe him out, and he did. And the entire team hates him, even though, granted, stupid move, but you guys are not, without him, you're not losing 7-0. You're probably losing 47-0, something like that. So don't have a lot of hate there for the Waterboy at that point. Now, number 5, I'm going to go with the Iowa game. First of all, because it's Iowa. that's another reason I wanted to start the show off with the part I did. Water sucks. It really, because that's Iowa and they beat Iowa, and something I think that is just aged amazingly well is the final score of that game. The final score is 6-3. And does anything encapsulate Iowa football more especially the last 2 or 3 years under baby Brian Ferentz, is a 6-3 final score? Because it turned out, hey, that wasn't really that funny. I mean, what their last like 6 games of the year, the over under was under 30, and I think just about all of them went under, and the unders got lower and lower until I believe ours was like 25 or 25 and a half, and boom, 23, we come in under. So just with having Iowa's putrid offense, having a light shown on it, even in 1998, rewatch it today just to enjoy that again. And now following that game is this is like ESPN has begun popping on. After that first game, they talk about, I'm just laughing because of the numbers, about how he set a new NCAA record with 16 sacks in a single game. I mean, that's like, I think that's a pretty solid total for a season. And they just throw in there, defeating the previous mark of 7. So he doubles the record for sacks in a game. Well, here comes the ESPN crowd again, and I think before that play, you have Dan Patrick and Lee Corso, and they're showing a slow motion of one of his sacks, and of his face like, and Dan Patrick says something like, "Oh, there's a lot of pain and ignorance in those eyes," or something like that, and Corso just does a disturbing, something like that. That's one of my favorite things, but it's quickly followed by an even better one when they following ESPN once again. I love the post-screen graphics, like the graphics from ESPN, because that takes me back to the 90s. That's when that like tan background with the red and black on it. It just, it's just like, where everything's going to be broken down on the screen statistically. Well, they're showing the highlight and they're going, well, and I'll talk a little bit more about Michigan, but I just love to see where Michigan goes, beset by injuries. Michigan tried to, go the same route as the Mud Dogs by putting their own towel boy on the field, and they had, for some reason, like the towel boy, looks about towel boy size. They're playing Purdue. He does a crossing route and just gets absolutely leveled. And then the guy that levels him, it's my favorite little touch of the day. You see the guy over him just kind of giving the point, like pointing down at him, like, no. And it was kind of funny. I was surprised Michigan agreed to that because they appear to be losing the game. And one of our little things from the program that I learned is for the program, they wanted Michigan to be in it, playing, I think it was the Eastern U or whatever. And they only agreed to be in it if they could win. They're not going to be on the screen losing a game. So I was kind of surprised that, I think this was a few years after the program that then they agreed to come in and lose a game and be a bit of the butt of a joke. So good for you, Michigan. Growing up, we'll see if it lasted. Number 16 is the pep rally. University of Louisiana shows up. Rob Schneider is like the random Cajun hillbillies who seems to be able to get front row wherever he goes, is doing his "you can do it" and let's cut his neck and all this stuff. Well, for some reason, the entire Louisiana football team shows up at the other team's pep rally. I'm even in the 90s, I don't think we're in a universe where that would have happened. Of course, we're also not in a universe where you're going to be having a pep rally just in the middle of a swamp somewhere. So I'm pretty sure they'd use the stadium for that. But they show up. Hey, turns out, the big guy comes up there, and Firuza Balk, we'll talk a little about her. She plays Bobby's girlfriend, and apparently he's been chasing him down since they were 8 years old. And she pulls a knife on the guy, and so she's arrested. And then they find out that Bobby never graduated high school. So now the NCAA, I think it was Jerry Reese, says, and they got this letter from the NCAA. They don't think you should be playing football this weekend. Just Jerry Reed, fantastic, is just being a jerk. And so he backs down Winkler because they have their whole history where he basically stole his magical green playbook from him. And anytime Winkler got the urge to stand up to him, he'd just be like, well, you do that, things are going to get real physical in here real fast. And so Winkler's made just a history of this guy being bullied. So anyway, Bobby suspended. Winkler just backs into the crowd, won't stand up for anybody. Yeah, Rob Schneider's like, then all of a sudden everybody's furious at Bobby for not graduating high school. I get that where there's going to be some people, who are like, well, he's getting what he deserves. But I think most everybody's going to go, especially that player is going to be going, hey, how do we get him back? How do we get him back fast? Yeah, it's a shame. The man's learned his lesson. Let's get him back for the Bourbon Bowl. Yeah, get that GED taken care of. It's funny that he's passing college classes while not having the GED or having the high school diploma. But anyway, so all is going to be lost, and that brings us to our favorite final scene. So let's take a sec, and we'll talk about the Bourbon Bowl, and let's check some comments and see what we got going. Yeah, this movie wins 2+ stars just for digging up Jerry Reed. Massive missed opportunity to have him write the theme music. And we'll talk about the music a little too. But yeah, and there's actually a story and triv we'll get to on how they did find Jerry Reed. Yeah. Mama says football is the devil. Football? Come on, bone-led corn-fed. Football? Everybody knows that they've been out there playing that there foosball. They're playing the foosball with his friends. Let's see. Dante, Longman, and Sandler were in typical Hollywood fashion, all over 30 when they played these college students. Hey, remember Bull Durham 2 weeks ago? Tim Robbins was 30 when he was playing like an 18, 19-year-old baseball player fresh out of high school. We covered this one. And then Jason Reeves, a rare Clint Howard appearance without his brother directing. Yeah, it was. And Clint, I think my favorite Clint Howard moment in this, because it appeared to really, I don't know, I get the feeling that Bill Cowher's not this good an actor, so they kind of sprung this on him, was that, they had Clint Howard grossed up even worse than Clint Howard, because Clint Howard usually plays like a little weirdo of some sort. And in this one, he's being even weirder. He's saying stupid things the whole movie. He definitely looks like somebody you don't want to be bunched up against in a college football crowd. And here's like Jimmy Johnson and Bill Cowher just sitting in the stands. And I'm pretty sure they're not just sitting in the stands even in 98. I still think they're up in a box somewhere, but they're sitting in the stands with hot dogs. And Clint Howard just sticks his face in over Bill Cowher's shoulder, grabs his hot dog, and goes like, "Hey, you going to want all this?" And Cowher just goes like kind of half grossed out and terrified. He's like, "No, not anymore." Like, take it. It looks genuinely grossed out. So here's to Clint Howard. If it was that good of an acting by Cowher, great. If it was just dropping Clint Howard on him and grossing the shit out of him, so much the better for Clint Howard. Yeah, Big Show needed to make more movies. Guy's great. I agree, 100%. Great actor. Seems like a great guy, to be honest. Jason Reeves also, he's down with the Big Show. Let's see. Fred Sacco. My phone's crapping out like a vintage Husker offense, 2009 to 2022. I think you can safely pop 23 in there. That might have ended up being the worst of all of them. Don't know what's up. Hope Fred gets it back. We'll find out. Says, if I don't get it back, Aaron Kane and Jason Reeves fight it out to see who can be worse than me. I'm sure they'll be happy. Aaron Kane, oh no, we suck again. Rob Schneider and Husker fans for the last 10 years. Rob Schneider, just somehow has a way. He pops into a lot of Sandler movies. Sandler, from what I understand in real life, is one of those genuinely nice guys. Loves to take care of his buddies. As weird and awful as he can be in the movies, apparently the real life guy is much, much better than that. What's this one here from Jason Reeves? Somehow that Rob Schneider line reminds me of the greatest line in Major League. The Asian, they look like Japanese, the groundskeepers talking and with the subtitles, and every time they're shitty. That was like, I think, one of the first one of my first big laughs out of Major League when, here, hey, everything's starting up, the beginning music, and everybody's like, oh, they don't. I like the guy looked like he was construction or a steel worker or something, going, they don't look too fucking good. And then followed up by the Japanese guys saying it, just, the subtitles, they're shitty, 100%. Fred Sacco. Oh, Aaron's taking issue. Fred Sacco, it's Reeves. I'm a goddamn delight. Jason, best at worst. Woohoo! And a little story here from Jason. In high school football, we arrived at our opponent's gym, headed for the locker room 2 to 3 hours ahead of game time. Boy, you waltzed right through their freaking pep rally. Coach let us through like a boss. That's pretty good. I'm thinking most pep rally fans won't get the urge to attack, but still, nice move. I like that. Clint usually gets the pivotal nerd role, so this absurdity was fun to see from him. I've always enjoyed seeing Clint. They don't really have a bad word to say. Here, while we've got a minute, quick check copycorn.com for merch. Tonight I'm wearing my Fuck Everything Go Big Red t-shirt in honor of, college football. And from what I understand with NCAA 25, it's not one you're just going to walk in and dominate like 2014 or 13. It's a different. They've got their own gameplay system, I think, set aside of Madden, instead of just like mirroring theirs and putting college guys into it. The most complaints I'm hearing is about the kicking, but I found a YouTube, and maybe I'll try to see if I can sneak that link in next week, where the guy is giving advice on some of the things. He says, like, the defense is much harder to play, but the reason is everybody's trying to do the dive tackles and the sticks and all that. And he says the best way is just to is to play your ground and make conservative tackles. And so he says also the quarterback mechanics are tougher to get used to, but he says once you figure them out, they're a lot of fun. So anybody out there being frustrated, if they got the digital and started playing yesterday, hang in there, stick with it. It sounds like, once you get the hang of it, it gets to be a lot of fun. And always join, like and follow us, join our YouTube channel, that just subscribe to Corn Nation, and that, then you'll see all our videos, all the guys' other stuff, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let's take it. By the way, this is an amazing flavor for me. Propel, I wish they had it in the 12 packs, but pineapple peach. It's really, really good. All right, moving on. All right, let's talk Bourbon Bowl. As always, throw comments in there, and then we'll check them again after this. First of all, you get the joy that is Dan Fouts and Brent Musburger. And they didn't. I don't think they had to tell Brent Musburger to behave like an ass, because real life, there's a couple of Husker stories out there that Brent Musburger and Lincoln was a jackass. Let's start with that. I didn't even write that down, but I just remembered that there was an issue, and I think it was sometime in the late 80s, early 90s, maybe. But for those of you who don't know what a spotter is, he's usually a local guy that just helps out the on-air guys with names, so you can pop them names, numbers, pronunciations, that sort of thing. He's just there to help. And apparently Musburger goofs up someone's name or their number, or maybe got the fact that you can have like two same numbers on the team, one on offense, one on defense, and called out the wrong name, something like that. Well, the spotter, I guess, leaned in and said, excuse me, Brent, it's pronounced this way. And there was a big article in the World Herald about this that I remember. I'm fuzzy on some of this. This is a few decades ago, but the story went that Brent, waved one of the network guys over, told him, whispered something in his ear. This guy goes walking down that row, comes back up to the row behind where the spotter is, and informs him that he is not to speak to Mr. Musburger directly, and shows him the two guys he's allowed to talk to. And then, and after that, and also anytime a Musburger game came on, he was a real huge Big Ten guy, and seemed to be kind of just barely hiding his disdain for Nebraska. And I don't think that's a case of, us being too sensitive. It seemed to actually be a thing for a while. Well, not so long ago. I mean, probably when I say that, 10 years. So if you're 25 years old watching, you're like, okay, old guy, whatever. But he also did a game. I don't think there were any issues in the booth, but afterwards, Brent enjoyed his booze, and Brent's just driving along, pulling slowly. I think trying to get out of town slowly after the post game, and everybody's milling in the streets and all this. So it's slow going, and he's there. He's got his window down and had the old, red plastic cup that pretty much lets everybody know you're not drinking 7-Up. And a Lincoln cop who may or may not have had the same grudge absolutely gave Brent a ticket for drinking in it with an open drinking alcohol in an open container in public or whatever. And infuriated Brent to no something not that big a deal, but infuriated Brent to no end reportedly. So that was beautiful. But you got Fouts and Musburger in there, and they're making some little quips together. Some of Fouts was my favorite. Like we're about to halftime. They get torn up until halftime without the Waterboy, and they're like, and Busburger finishes off with something like, well, and they're going into the locker room to see what they can do to turn this thing around, and we're out. And you hear Fouts go, well, they better because they suck. And they're just not really expecting that from Dan Fouts. And the second half starts. Bobby comes back. They all did hey, remember that time Bobby did this? Or even G Groom was going, hey, remember the time Bobby did this one thing? And then Bobby sneaks up behind him. Hey, remember that time Bobby showed up for the second half and they won the Bourbon Bowl? Hey! And we're off and running, and they're smacking him around. And at one point, I think, Dad goes, oh, he knocked the poop out of him on that play. And Brent turns and goes, the poop? Really? And then then when it gets exciting at the end, there's the famous, hey, they're putting Bobby in at running back. Well, nothing, last game of the year, can't hold anything back. So anyway, they're just beating the shit out of them on defense. I think they got a turnover right away and ran one back. And then with I want to say it's like 8 or 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, and I could see Kirk Ferentz just embracing this. I'm surprised not to see Iowa do it with some of the offense they had in the last few years. He just is going to have them take a knee, run the clock down every play, take a knee and punt, because the offense still can't do anything. But then Bobby has an inspirational talk with Mr. Coach Klein, has him start imagining like Jerry Reed's a little puppy and stuff like that. And so all of a sudden there he is designing his magical plays. There's that whole green notebook thing. I don't know if I made notes about that when I was watching that again. But let's see. Yeah, it was just like, Henry Winkler, man. He's like Mike Leach, Chip Kelly, all rolled into one. He just has this magical mind that went away because he got threatened by Jerry Reed. And it's kind of funny. And Jerry does look like not quite as skinny as he was in his Smokey the Bandit days. But I really don't get much physical threat from him. But Henry Winkler's supposed to be, just beta personality. So, but anyway, now he's designed. I think he comes out with the double reverse, boom, touchdown, like the double reverse has never been seen before. Whatever. Then you have the wonderful interview on the sideline. Len Swan shows up in the game doing his sideline reporting, and goes up to Vicky Valancourt and Fairuza Balk. I don't think, we'll go down the cast a little bit. There's not a ton there, but I don't think a role has ever been more aptly handed over than Fairuza Balk playing Vicky Valancourt, because she was always one of those types. She's cute, but it's not your next door girl cute. It's not your Hollywood hot chick cute. There's a little bit of danger around her, but there's a lot of crazy. Okay. And we all know the story of crazy, because there's always somebody on TikTok whose girlfriend is screaming at him. Everybody comes in, son, what are you hanging around with that for? What, my God, end that relationship now, and all that in the comments. But then you see the comment, I know why he's hanging around, and LOL. And it's like, yeah, because for all the screaming, yelling, angry crazy, there's the, let's call it the bedroom crazy. And she gives off all kinds of crazy. And it's perfect for this role, because she's just basically a felon. She can't walk by a car without wanting to steal it. She pulls a knife on the guy at the pep rally. And Lynn Swan asks her, so what do you got for final score? and she's got like 30-27 or whatever, 33-30 or something like that. And he goes, oh, well, he goes, so how'd you come up with that guess? And she just turns and goes, that wasn't no guess. And he's just like, and then you hear up in the booth, Bounce going like, hey, watch it, Swanee. And he just goes, okay. And he's backing away. So I love that little play. So now they can score. So Louisiana has to start running their offense again. And you get 72. Here's 72 Meanie's moment where he comes in. They put him in at fullback, and he's, I'm gonna kill you, Waterboy. Woo, woo. Waterboy goes, you sound like a big old choo-choo train. and then he runs it up the middle, yelling, woo, woo. Next thing you know, Bobby's got him flipped over in the air, boom, and then just stands over and goes, powerbomb, compliments of Captain Insano. So Captain Insano's back in our lives. What did we do then? Okay, then they're getting down to no time when they get the ball. They're going to kick okay, they're down, was it? Or maybe it is 30-27 final, because they're down 27-17, and they're going for the field goal and hope they get the onside kick back and throw a bomb to tie it. Well, okay, awesome. They run the fake field goal where I think the pitch it to the kicker, and then Bobby's the blocker and just sitting there doing some of the best blocking down the sideline you've ever seen. I think he takes about 4 people out hard. And so now we're at 27-24, and let's see that. Oh, then they run the onside kick, get the onside kick back. Bobby's jumping up and down with the ball, gets crushed from behind and knocked out cold. And then we've got our magical Alaskan spring water or something, or glacier water from a few scenes before. She gives him the special water. He does that jump up from your back to your feet like The Rock, and in we go. And the onside kick, I'm probably leaving out one of the funnier parts of that, when the kicker's black, which was kind of a fun twist on that. He's going down the line and going, nuh-uh, looking at their faces, and you have the one who's going, and he's like, oh yeah, there's my bitch. And got the onside kickback, and oh yeah. and then Dan Fouts goes like, see, the water boy just needed some water. And Brent says something asshole like, oh wow, did you come up with that one all by yourself? And Fouts just goes, shut up, Brent. And shut up, Brent, I feel like is one of the lines that I've been using in just casual conversation ever since when somebody tries to throw a little, verbal shit at me, as I just come back with, shut up, Brent. And if they don't know it, I don't care. But yeah, then they do a quarterback throwback. And Bobby Boucher throws the winning touchdown to Grimoire. They're all happy. Dan, and right before that play, it's like, he's like, oh yeah, Bobby's in on offense, and Dan starts to talk, and because he's always been saying is can't hold any, last game of the year, can't hold anything back, and on that one, Brent just stops him and goes, we know. And Brent was just perfect at playing Brent, and he probably wasn't even aware that that's what they were looking for. And then they score, and there's Dan Fouts shaking Brent, and why they won? Because they didn't hold anything back. It's just a great finish. Loved having those guys. There's my full 7 favorite scenes. If you've got one, throw it in there. I'm going to check the comments again now, see what we got. Let's see. Propel, not an ad. Hey, you are absolutely right. It is not an ad, but Propel, if you're watching, here you go. Great peach grapefruit, or peach pineapple. Happy to take you on as a sponsor. Hey, you guys get Propel sponsoring me. We'll have a Propel sponsored fans of all the right movies party, all 5 of us. Let's see. Propel, not an ad. Okay, Ed, here we go. Jason Reeves, I must admit I like Single Person, but still the videos and chatter about the new NCAA has me considering maybe upgrading my tired ass Core 2 Duo. I don't know what Core 2 Duo is. Has something to do with playing online, I'm guessing, because that's usually what I like to do, is just do my thing, have dynasties. But I will say this. I've really been enjoying the TikToks about guys. I think, about guys, older guys talking about, here, I'm getting ready to destroy a third grader in NCAA 25. One of them was the scene from the Friday Night Lights movie where they're showing Winchell and maybe it's Chavez coming down the tunnel with their game face on, and up above is the caption, me getting ready to destroy a fifth grader on July 19th in NCAA 25 and stuff like that. Another guy has the video of like the Virginia Tech coach who's looking dead serious and ready to rumble when Virginia Tech's getting ready to hit the field running for Enter Sandman, and same thing, me getting ready to take on a third grader. And there was one sports writer guy, and I can't remember his name though. He caught a lot of shit from like older NCAA 25 people when he said something like, all these 40-year-olds out there are going to find out that this game 8 is easy, and they're not going to be able to jump right back into it like they did last time. And like, dude, 10 years, what changed from 30 to 40 or 40 to 50? We're ready. And everybody was just throwing fireballs back at the guy for having the audacity to suggest us older guys wouldn't be ready to rumble. That being said, I think my son's 27, and I think he'd just absolutely kick my ass in this just because he has been on the. Well, the thing is though, he's I'm not sure I think he just got another Xbox, but he plays a lot of laptop too. Let's see. Did y'all notice that Nebraska's brown bag law went away? I did not. Well, tell me more about the brown bag law. Does that mean we used to be able to do that and now we can't, or we couldn't brown bag our dark alcohols, and now we'll be able to? Because I don't know. Not that I have this wild urge to go, drinking hard liquor while walking down the sidewalk, but that's a freedom I just appreciate having. Yeah. Jason Reeves. Vicky was just cute as hell. I'm comforted knowing she's likely in her 50s now. And yeah, and that's the thing. She was cute. Maybe still is cute. I don't know. And she just had that crazy cute going. And hey, all you guys who know what I'm talking about with the crazy now, and we'll just leave it at that. And I guess if that comes up in the comments, we'll roll with that. Football in movies notoriously looks like shit. The Waterboy's actual ball wasn't good, but it was tolerable. The whole thing was silly enough that it didn't really matter. We're going to talk about that in a little more. Let's see. Best movie football, Friday Night Lights. I'm going to argue that Friday Night Lights was very good. But they did a little too much, like super up close cutaway, trying to hide the yard line so they could use some plays whenever they wanted. There's a couple times I think they get caught goofing with the clock. It was good. I'm gonna and I'll end up doing both these movies if it lasts, but I will tell you that I think it's Varsity. Well, check that. Best ever, The Longest Yard, the original. There's just too much NFL and college talent on that field, and it's fantastic. Like NFL guy, you have like Sonny Six Killer, quarterback from Washington, Joe Cap, Minnesota quarterback, Ray Nitschke, for God's sake, Green Bay, wrecking machine linebacker, and shout out to Ray real quick for being a good sport and agreeing to get hit in the nuts with the football a couple times and jumped on. Burt Reynolds, actually played as a freshman, or went down as a freshman to play for Bobby Bowden at Florida State. Wrecked his knee, and then went on from there. He just went straight on to acting, and Bobby Bowden famously said, I think he picked the right career. and that's funny. The reason that's fun though is because Bobby Bowden and Burt Reynolds remain lifelong friends after that. Let's see. Jason Reeves, I'm about to finish my second 30-year dynasty on Madden 08. Coach Klein, which part? Oh yeah. There's too many good little snippets to go to them all. So if you find one that I don't get to and we go into the lines, go ahead. Which part of the snake would you say this is? And didn't she come back? It was something like, I believe that's sort of like the knee or something like that. But that was fantastic. Here we go. We used to only get liquor in brown bags. It was 5 or 6 years ago when I was sent out in broad daylight with a handle of vodka. I felt so dirty. Okay, Longest Yard. Both of them, if we're honest, pretty decent football action. The other one I'm going to say besides Longest Yard, though, is Varsity Blues. Because Varsity Blues has some amazing football. For as goofy as it could be at times, amazing football action. And even though the actors like, Paul Walker before he gets hurt, and then Dawson from Dawson's Creek, James Vanderbeek. Vanderbeek had a solid arm. I don't think he was, throwing it from a sitting position on the bench 50 yards across the field while reading Vonnegut, but he had a good arm. And they did, I guess, have a tryout of about 500 Texas high school players, and then pick the best of them to be the players in the movie. Like that running back, there is one the running back with the knee they're always trying to shoot up. There's one just play, like, full speed play that they have in slow-mo where he is pulling down the sideline. The guy's like grabbing behind for a horse collar, and he like gets pulled back for a second, power runs out of the horse collar, and then lowers the shoulder into a dude and levels him. I don't know what his name was. We'll find out when we do that one, but that dude could tote the rock. And yeah, there was just, I loved I would take the, not to put any shade on Friday Night Lights, but I would actually take the gameplay from Varsity Blues over Friday Night Lights. Sorry. Varsity Blues, I give her a 10. I gave a couple of them a 10 in Varsity Blues. Varsity Blues holds up, so a young adult movie, but it was a solid movie I love sharing with my kids. Same here. Fun, and it came out, they were trying to do Friday Night Lights without doing Friday Night Lights, and then having a little more fun with it. But they made it much more of a teen movie, where Friday Night Lights was, that one's just, true to the book, et cetera, et cetera. Love them both. Oh yeah. 10, I give her a 10. Oh God, rest in peace, Billy Bob. All right, let's get to some of our best lines. I'm not gonna go forever on these. There's too many good ones. But what the heck? Let's see if we can get through where we can. One of them, Captain Insano, and I always remembered his nose. When I looked it up, it shows Captain Insano shows no mercy. And then Bobby showing like that he doesn't really have the best comebacks in the world. It's kind of like Sean William Scott and Goon, where he's matching the Needle Dick. He goes, "Your name is Needle Dick." What's the comeback? That was just classic. And then Clint Howard is doing this whole movie. The one he was sitting there talking to this buddy, and his buddy mentioned something like, "Oh man, he throws like Joe Montana," and he says something stupid about Joe Montana. And he goes, that wasn't Joe Montana. And he goes, I meant to say Joe Montana. That's the second time Joe Montana got lumped with Joe Montana. I don't know if anybody remembers. There was one time where, who was it? Joe Montana is hosting Saturday Night Live. And down in the second row, you got a dad and his kid, and the kid's wearing a Joe Montana jersey. And you see him getting up and leaving in the middle of the monologue to start the show. And Montana goes down there and goes like, what are you doing? He goes, "Oh, I made a big mistake. We thought Joe Montana was going to be hosting tonight, and my kid's a big fan. So just sit down and, and hang out." And then Montana leans in close to the dad and starts explaining how he plays a lot of bad guys in movies, and it's because he's a bad guy and their family's going to get hurt because nobody walks out on his monologue. and then the kid, you see the kid start crying. So the Joe Montana relationship holding up over time. And then there's the one time he's imagining the quarterback as his mom, and he's like, "Shut up, mom." And he's like, "I'm not your mama. What the hell's the matter with you?" And stuff like that. And he's like, it's like, yells some more gibberish at this guy, and the quarterback just goes, "Oh God, please don't hurt me." It was like, what an honest thing for a quarterback to say. "My God, I've got no blocking. Don't kill me." And then we had somebody always already brought up the Rob Schneider famous, "Oh no, we suck again." And then all the Dan Fouts lines. It seemed those two are either so good at acting, or this just came naturally on the head for the fact that Brent Musburger's a flat asshole and Dan Fouts doesn't like him. And either way, it's hilarious. I love those guys. Let's go to our categories. Here's just every part of this is comedy. I think I wrote a note somewhere saying They just threw everything at the wall, every comedy thing they could think of at the wall, and just hoped enough stuck for a good time at the theater. Um, Mama with everyone and everything being the devil, the foosball is the devil, girls are the devil, and just everything being the devil was hilarious. Captain Insano, we covered that. For me, it was calling football, Mama calling football the foosball. I don't know why. I have no idea why that just was a crack up for me. So I'm guessing when the writers and the teams, they're bouncing the stuff off each other, somebody probably did the bullshit Cajun accent, much like the one I'm doing tonight when I try to do my Bobby Boucher. But somebody did the weird accent and just started calling it the foosball, and I bet a couple of people just cracked up hard and was like, yeah, throw the foosball in. Colonel Sanders, what a masterful performance. and they did say the trivia that they did 100% try to dress him exactly like Colonel Sanders. I don't think that's too much of a shock to anybody, but I love Colonel Sanders. And then here's one of the throwaway things. Well, first of all, how you had that mule inside the house, the jackass. When Mama would fake one of her migraines, and the jackass would start braying for no reason. But at one point, I look and Mama's missing Bobby, because he's off playing that foosball with his old damn friends, and she just had it's during the montage, and let's throw that in right now, and then we'll rate them both afterwards. They have a quick montage after the first win. Actually, let's leave that one on its own. Okay, we'll come back to it because that really links two categories together. But yeah, they show Mama playing in that montage badminton with the mule, like she's whacking the shuttlecock over the net, and there's a mule just standing there with a badminton racket in its teeth. I'm like, that's desperate. ESPN, everybody from ESPN for that matter. Dan Patrick just did a fantastic job of playing that straight. And back in an old job I had, it was one where I could sit at my desk working with the radio going, and midday was always the Dan Patrick show. And I just always found Dan Patrick to be just a really funny guy, and great at either cracking his own quips or playing straight man for somebody else. So I love Dan Patrick being there. We talked about Clint Howard. Clint Howard just fucking everything. Oh yeah, it's like, I bet Grimoire is like, I bet you $20. G. Grimoire throws a touchdown pass on the first play of the game. And he just does a quick pick six to start things off. And then he turns around to his friend, you owe me $20. The guy's like, you dumbass. He said he was going to throw a touchdown pass. And then Clint Howard just looks confused. Yeah, just good stuff out of him. Talked about the Green Notebook. But, okay, the way we rank these is for the categories from worst to best. It's like Mike Riley's worst. He's a 1, Solich is a 2, Pelini's a 3, Devaney's a 4, and Osborne's a 5. Just the comedy in this, it's the great sports movie comedy of all time. I don't think it's quite a 5, but absolutely I'll give it a Bob Devaney. Bob Devaney, little fist pump. 4 stars for comedy. It was good enough. It just, the way it just kept trying, and it got a few really good laughs out of it. So I'll call that a well-deserved 4. The montage, not much. They're just showing a few scenes after that first win. But guess what they throw in the middle of it? LT's Louisiana Lightning Camp. Now you have them. He asked Bobby to explain to the kids. Hey, tell these guys, how your defensive thoughts, your tackling style and all that. And he just does like this mumbling Bobby Boucher thing about, and then the ball goes there. So then I tackle that guy with the ball. And then he like nods like he killed it. And Lawrence Taylor gives him kind of this long look and then turns to the kids and goes, and that's the other thing I wanted to mention, kids, don't do crack. Now, if you happen to see this in the theater on November 6th, 1998, I apologize, there was kind of this gasp, laugh, what the fuck noise in the theater, because 17 days before, on October 19th, Lawrence Taylor was arrested for crack possession. after supposedly being off it for a while. And I just picture the producers, publicly going, "Oh, that's a real shame. We wish LT the best and fighting this horrible addiction." But I'm just picturing him under the table going, "Could that have been timed any fucking better?" Absolutely not. I mean, I sit there, and I was there with the future ex Mrs. Ketterson, and I'm just cracking up. Every guy in the place is just like snorting, giggling, just making the what the fuck, noise, and what, really? And how did you predict this? And freaking out, and she, like, I think a lot of the wives in there's like, what's wrong with you guys? And I'm like, shut up, I'll explain it to you after. And I did. And she's like, oh my god. It's like he has that line in the movie 17 days after being arrested. That's you can't put a price on that. There's a little more about that in trivia. There's kind of a happy ending, but see, to me, that wins the montage and it wins the unintentional comedy. So for the montage, let's go ahead. The overall montage is still, he elevates it from a 1 or a 2 to a Pellini. And of course I use this picture because I think it really captures the calm, easygoing Bo Pellini that we all know and love. But for the unintentional comedy, baby, that's a Dr. Tom. That the Lawrence Taylor, not to poke fun at an addition, but come on, man. I can't think of any real life thing that's had that kind of an effect on an opening, just by it's in there. There's no way they knew this was going to go down, but it happened. So that's a 5-star unintentional comedy. That's why they invent the words unintentional comedy. Tell you what, we got some comments popping in, so let's go run back and check those in between categories here. 10. All right. My stepson, Jason Reeves, my stepson was so pissed at the end of Friday Night Lights that he literally cried. Well, the real life Friday Night Lights wasn't much different. It was the semifinals of state, not the final. Same teams, Permian and Dallas Carter High, and they lost. That one was played. They had a whole fight about which stadium to play in. Instead of the Astrodome, they did the Cotton Bowl, and I guess it was kind of an actual wintry type of cold, rainy shit night for football. And I believe they lost that one like 14-7 or something, with a missed pass in the end zone on the last play of the game. So they captured real life pretty well in the movie, and yeah, it was pretty bad. One other Friday night little fact in there is you have Booby Miles, who's been injured, hop on the bus, and then so he's in the locker room with the team, and at halftime he is standing in front of the real life Bowie Miles, who played an assistant coach in Friday Night Lights. And they asked, Peter Berg was like the producer of the show, directed a few of those, directed and produced the movie. And they asked him, why'd you have him come along with the team? Because what really happened was he just kind of went home. He never went around the team. The team never really came around to him, and he just kind of got left alone for a while. And Peter Berg said that he goes, I'm sorry, but real life was too painful. I wanted Booby to have kind of a happy ending by getting to go be with his team at that game, which he wasn't. And so good for you, Peter Berg. Thanks for making us feel better. So there were worse things, but yeah, I understand that ending, man. Coach Clay, no, Grandma, I didn't get the job. I hate it. And remember what he was doing? He was for just one of those things. Hey, we're throwing everything at the wall. Yeah, that's right. Coach Klein is in like women's heels and stomping his foot too. I hate it. Yeah, Joe Montana, Aaron Kane, you've been playing the foosball with the gargantuans. Sorry, I just love the foosball. How can you not love the foosball? Jason Reeves, moms call everything the worstest name possible. They're not dolls, God, they're action figures. That sounds more like nerds, but yeah. Oh yeah, the mule had a name, and it was Steve. I did not realize that, but now that you said it, I remember they called him Steve. Oh, and yeah, kicking Bobby Boucher. Gonna be kicking some names and taking some ass. Yep, Steve the Mule. I think he's my brother-in-law. Uh, Aaron Kane. I was just thinking in my head. That's pretty good because I was just thinking in my head. We all have that brother-in-law who's Steve the Mule, and I guess, well, if we're honest, some of us are probably that Steve the Mule for other people. LT, that's some solid '80s member berries. That's my number one LT memory. I'm not kidding. Just LT telling kids not to smoke crack 17 days after being arrested. But the number two one was the Joe Theismann. They took a shot. I remember they took a shot at him. He's like waving for the doctor because he saw that leg, and they took a shot at him, and it looks like he is doing his best deep breathing exercises not to puke on national TV. He just looked sick to his stomach. Jason Reeves, LT liked his crack. Don't judge. He played tweaked up and dominated. I would say in that area, especially like 70s, 80s, it wouldn't probably even go into the 60s if we're honest. LT wasn't the only one tweaked up on that field. And I'll tell you, I always say too, even though it's not really a physical danger, but everybody talked about baseball during the steroid era. Basically ever since they invented amphetamines, baseball's been in the greenie era, and they're never going to change it because this is how guys play 162 games a year. It just is, that they're flying, playing 3 games straight on a plane after the last game, playing 3 games straight more. I get it that they usually get like 1 to 2 days a week off, but that's just go. And I don't think you're ever going to get baseball or the players really making a push to take greenies out of the game because you might see a much watered down game. I hate to say it. Feel free to say I'm wrong, or maybe they've gone away, but if they've gone away, I believe they've only been replaced by something better. Let's see. Jason Reeves. Oh, I had the DVD with extras. Yeah, the actual Bobby was in multiple sideline scenes. Or Booby. Yeah. He was an assistant coach. Peter Berg's the bomb. Yeah, I'll watch everything he does. When I do Friday Night Lights or whatever, I suspect because he's directed all kinds of movies. He produces. He still just looks like a goof, kind of, but he directs, produces. He's become a guy in Hollywood that you want to watch. We'll go through his IMDb when we do Friday Night Lights or whatever. And Miley's already said I think she wants to do that one with me. But yeah, Peter Berg's the shit. And the first time I remembered seeing him was on Chicago Hope. It was the TV series that kind of lost the hospital series, Battle to ER. I liked it more. And Peter Berg was a heart surgeon who loved to play hockey in his spare time. So, and did kind of a nut on the show. And then he also played Connie Britton's like ex-boyfriend. Now he's like an oil baron in the Friday Night Lights series, and ends up, and he and Kyle Chandler at some high dollar event start pouring down drinks and talking shit and getting a fight. It's really pretty funny. And yeah, Jason Reeves, oh hell no, he wasn't the only one that tweaked up. Damn right he wasn't. So anyway, let's see here. Get these off. Another pull from the maybe future sponsor, maybe not Propel. Well, I'll say probably not, but Propel, I'm here for you. Delicious. Okay, what is next? We just did unintentional comedy. Let's take a second, just kind of go through the cast. Didn't find a lot of stories here about who read for it or who auditioned and all that, because I think that's the case where Sandler just kind of picks his cast. You had Kathy Bates, Oscar winner Kathy Bates. This is mom. Bless her. I mean, she's mauling. They're all mauling those Cajun accents, but she's all in. She's all in on this. She's not winking to the camera. She is that mom that doesn't want her boy getting with them girls who's the devil or any other things that are the devil that'll take my poor boy away. Henry Winkler, and here's actually how Henry Winkler got the role. He got mentioned as Arthur Fonzarelli in the Hanukkah song, that hilarious song that Sandler did. And I guess he fucking loved it. He loved being in the Hanukkah song so much that he got Adam Sandler's number and called him to tell him that, hey, that was great. I love you including me in there, and this is awesome. And Sandler around that time, hey, I'm doing this movie, The Waterboy. I'd really like you to read for the part of the coach, Coach Klein. Winkler was like, absolutely, send me the script. Took one read through of the script, called him back, and said I'm in. It boom, like that. That's a great story. Henry Winkler's another one of those guys that I think it came out, after playing the Fonz in most of his roles after that, just kind of what a sweet, nice guy he is in real life. And then he actually got to play that character. Fairuza Balk, we talked about. If we have an award for best casting in the movie, I think she runs away with it in a landslide. Jerry Reed, we'll talk a little bit about. Well, let's do it now. Let me pull the trivia up because I found how Jerry Reed got it. I think it was just a case of Adam Sandler was watching Smokey and the Bandit, and they originally wanted George Strait to play Mr. Coach Klein, but then was it Country Strong? I believe it was Country Strong came out and it kind of bombed, and so they're like, well, he must not have too much on-screen charisma. But Sandler happened to be rewatching Smokey and the Bandit and saw Jerry Reed and loved him and said, see if Jerry Reed will do it. And Jerry Reed agreed. And so, yeah, Smokey and the Bandit. If you love Smokey and the Bandit, you got another reason because it got Jerry Reed to play the evil coach. And then you had Clint Howard, and then you kind of had what I like to call some of Sandler's stand-up buddies, like here's Rob Schneider doing his thing, and then Blake Clark just going off the reservation as Farmer Fran. I never heard somebody, because when that touchdown pass at the end is spiraling through the air, I just remembered the sounds of like laughter and disgust when there's Blake Clark as Farmer Fran, the top straps, I think, of the overalls are down, and there he is with just that look of ecstasy on his face while flipping his nipples and his nipple rings. And it's like, I think it was the high point in movies for nipple rings. I know a couple of them shown off on the ladies, but I can't remember any of their names. I will be haunted forever by Farmer Fran flipping those hairy bad boys around. But it was fun getting like the stand-up guys in there. Let's see, where are we at here? So went through the cast. So let's talk a little bit about the sports quality. Somebody brought that up, saying it wasn't too good. It was all right. I will tell you, I just thought it was flat awful, except for the Louisiana team. There's a couple of those guys running around in plays where you're going like, okay, these guys can play, but my God, the Mud Dogs don't resemble a football team in any way, shape, or form, except the kicker. And because Sandler's out there just wearing these goofy, oversized pads from like the 60s and 70s, and I think that if you watch this is where I was trying whether to maybe bump it up a little for Louisiana to at least a 3. And I was thinking about it, but I couldn't do it because there's this shot where Bobby's running that ball back, the block field goal back against Iowa. Of course it's Iowa that fucks it up for everybody. And he is running back, and you have this guy trailing for Iowa that's just like at a slow jog. I mean, I get it. You got to let Sandler win, and he can't really go catch him. But I can't believe that an editor would leave that in there. It is so bad how intentionally slow he's going. And a guy, like, he's going slow, and a guy from the Mud Dogs runs up on him from behind kind of until he catches up and just, like, shoves him by the shoulder pads, where it's like, dude, this guy's losing ground. You don't even have to push him. But I think he was just maybe somebody off to the side yelled, God damn, run up and hit him or something so it looks like he's trying. So, this one's pretty much where's our boy? Oh no, not you. It's not a 1. There we go. Yeah, I do like the look on Frankie's face here, but yeah, that's a 2-star. That's a Solich for the quality of the sports play. But we're not gonna. It's not a thing you're holding against the movie, but it is what it is. at best, it's not very good. After that, let's see. We can talk about. Let's talk about the music a little bit. Yes. I mean, basically, it's weird fiddle shit. It's The Devil Came Down to Georgia uh, constantly, and then they try to do big sports music, that like adrenaline type sports music in the last game, and that's not bad. So I'll say since it plays and gets you a little fired up, and you got the with the stadium yelling and that music going, you're a little fired up in that game, even though it's a comedy. So for music, we're gonna go Pelini on the music. It played. There's nothing real memorable, but to get down to 2 or 1 for me, you actually have to go. It was bad, or it was annoying, or it was non-existent. Non-existent. So we'll go with that on Pelini. Rewatchability. You can add comments for that. This is high rewatchability for me. There's a few moments that are a little slow, but this is one of those movies where, if it popped onto TNT, you're in the middle of it on HBO, you're going to pop it in. And now I guess here we are. We're now moving into the era where it feels like 80 to 90% of the movies we're watching at home now are off the streaming services, or maybe the last vestiges of DVD. No, I don't think too many people are watching it on a TV channel. I haven't had actual movie channels on cable for years. So rewatchability there is all right. You got 45 minutes to kill. You're not binging a program. So rewatchability. What's the odds you might want to go, you know what? Haven't seen the Waterboy in a while. Boom, I'll go watch the Waterboy. It's like maybe the resume is sitting there halfway across. Perfect. You can jump in anywhere and you're laughing pretty quickly. So that, to me, that's another fist pump from the Bob Father. That's a 4-star. And then I think the last one, adrenaline scenes. I'm gonna go Frankie again on that, because it does pull it off at the end. There's not too much adrenaline wise in the movie. It's a goofy comedy up until the big game, and like I said, it does hold your interest in the big game. So I won't dump it on a 1, but it's a Frankie. And let's see that covers our categories. Next we'll do trivia, and then just keep it going however long you want to. Let's see what comments we have. Where are we at? DVD with extras. Okay. Von Schmeckels, Jason Reeves, Von Schmeckels, Moonshine, Daily Palmers. I got sponsorship for you, bro. I don't know what it is, but you had me at Moonshine. If you can get them to turn, a buddy of mine made this for me, like at his home. He made me apple pie moonshine. I don't know how many have you had the apple pie shots. I've kind of had to let those go since they are just basically a shot of hard sugar, and can't really do the sugar. I'm not supposed to do the sugar like I'm supposed to. I don't do the sugar. I shouldn't say I'm supposed to, like I'm cheating on it. I don't. But you want to get me a moonshine sponsor, I will take a moonshine sponsor. If they want to give me a free bottle of apple pie moonshine, I'll take that sponsor too. So yes, Jason Reeves, make it happen. No one's stopping you. Aaron Kane, Lee Corso's in it too. Yeah, I was pointing out how he's like, disturbing on the one hit. See, Robert Vavra. I lived in Southeast Texas for 20 years, next door to Louisiana. I knew a couple of guys that talked exactly like Farmer Fran. I don't doubt it. Ed Orgeron is just my favorite. I remember when they were announcing the press conference, like I would take my kids when I had my kids for my weekends, like Friday through Tuesday, Friday night through Tuesday. We would always go to my parents for dinner on Monday nights. We have dinner, watch a movie together, something like that. I went screaming home the night that they were going to have the press conference for Ed Orgeron accepting the LSU job, because I just thought it would be golden. I wasn't disappointed, because at one point I think they just asked, like, well, how would you react? He goes, well, I was going about 90 down the freeway. I just rolled the window down. Yeah, right out that window. I was so excited. And something like that. And then the other time was when they were interviewing him about after he got let go. like 2 years later, and he basically checked out after that national title. I think he divorced us. He filed for divorce like 6 weeks later, and Big Ed just started. And they said he'd be rolling in for practice with like a girl on his arm. So not a girl, but a woman on his arm. And Ed just Ed went the minute they got that national title, and Ed knew he had more money than he could ever spend. He didn't spend the rest of his life piling it up. He's just like, I'm just, before he'd actually quit his job, he quit his job and just started playing the field and hanging out and just living his best life, like a dog running around and, swimming around with a family that owns a pool. And then they interviewed him. It's like, so how did you feel when they told you were being let go? And he goes, well, I know I asked them, so did you let me go? And then they told me, well, we're going to let you go, and you got $17 million left on your contract. We're going to give you all that. And I said, well, then I guess the only question I got is, which door do I leave from? it was like Kramer, if Kramer had waited on the big I'll give you free coffee for your lifetime. That one time where he got burned. And that the 17 million, it's like the 17 million. It's like they offered me more than I expected. I took it. God bless that Orgeron. He always entertained the hell out of me. Yeah, Henry Winkler is on the Betty White platform. Agreed. Yes, Vavra. I was in Pascagoula, Mississippi for a while, and wow, it was a struggle to understand some of them welders in the shipyard. I bet it was. But my mom's side of the family comes from North Georgia. My dad was born in Texas, but then was raised like I think it was like outside the Atlanta area. So one from kind of North Georgia and one from North Georgia in the mountains, literally about 10, 15 miles from where they filmed Deliverance. Let's see. The only thing missing, Jason Reeves, the only thing missing from Farmer Fran's outfit is a warm, sweaty bottle of Old Crow in the middle chest pocket. Miss you, Grandpa. When I was in college, I was one of those fraternity guys, and there was one night where I think we all decided to give our pledge fathers or pledges a little bottle of hooch for a gift, and I got, just to watch him go like, I'm not drinking this. I got mine Old Crow. So yeah, I have a little relationship with the Old Crow. Jason Reeves, they did Devil Went Down to Georgia, but they couldn't get a new Eastbound and Down from Jerry. Well, I don't know. You don't keep the budget down at 23 million by paying Jerry Reed to write another song. Ed liked girls just learning to be women. I think Ed liked them from co-ed up to their 50s if they were walking that walk. George is a sweet and understandable accent. It really does. It's played well in the movies over the years. My mom's side of the family, incredible smart asses. And a good smart ass remark goes a lot farther when you got your Georgia Uncle Hubert delivering it. Okay, quick Uncle Hubert story. Since my other Uncle Butch, there you go, Uncles Butch and Hubert. Butch, wonderful man, owned and operated a grocery store right where Highway 441 ran by the road that went up to where my grandparents lived. And Hubert was the type of guy, just did whatever job needed doing. And sometimes that job was just hanging around the grocery store. And Deliverance kind of kept the tourists away. North Georgia, Deliverance aside, North Georgia is just absolutely gorgeous country. It's the southern end of the Appalachians. Like, we could sit on the back porch of my grandparents' house and see the Appalachian Trail from there, up on the mountain ridge. And anyway, it kept some a little thinking that's what went on in the woods. That kept tourism low for a while. And when they'd come in, it was never helped along by my Uncle Hubert, because every now and then he'd strike up a conversation with somebody from out of town in there, at Sky Valley, the ski resort. They had a wonderful mountain golf course over there. And he would eventually be asked by some unsuspecting out of towner, so that movie Deliverance, does that stuff really go on around here? Does stuff like that happen around here? And my Uncle Hubert, with a very straight look on his face, would answer right back, every goddamn day. And every now and then my aunt B, my aunt and uncle there, Hubert and B, and Aunt B would hear about him doing it or catch him doing it and just read him the riot act. Why are you scaring these poor people away? You stop that now. And just entertaining stuff. Beautiful place. That doesn't go on in the hills. I wandered around those hills, and you might see some folks that resemble that camp that had the kid with the banjo, but it is what it is. We love you, North Georgia. Let's see. Jason Reeves, I just watched Steel Magnolias on my birthday last week. Very sweet and smart ass women, crack me up. North Georgia has no shortage of those, believe you me. All right, let's get to trivia. After trivia, we'll wrap it up. So if you have any thoughts, comments, whatever you want to do, throw them in there, and we'll get going here. Okay, they go to the party where Bobby brings those muffins with frogs' legs sticking out of them, and you have two really attractive girls come up, start hitting on him, and he, of course, he's oblivious to the whole thing, and he's, smitten by Vicky Valancourt. Well, here's one who, there's a dark-haired one. I'm looking at her, and I'm going, I know her from somewhere. There's some show I saw her on a lot, and her name is Jennifer Taylor, and she was on Two and a Half Men for like 11, 12 years as a recurring character. Like Charlie's girlfriend. I think he was engaged to her at one point. I can't remember if they ever got married before they killed him off after he went off the deep end. Let's see. At the time, I'd mentioned how it was the highest grossing sports comedy. At the time, it was also the highest grossing sports movie ever until it was passed by The Blind Side. Their home field was at DeLand High School in DeLand, Florida, and they agreed to let them film there, but in exchange for them doing a full refurbish of the field and the stands and everything after. And our director Frank Caracci, I don't know if that's I'm guessing Caracci. It might be Caracci, but I'm going to go Caracci. Apparently agreed. Okay, nice ending to the story. And I'm assuming if anybody can tell me when LT died, like what year he died, let me know. But according to the story, after 98, when he was arrested before the movie came out, he actually remained drug-free till 2009. So I don't know if that meant he died in 2009 or had another relapse in 2009. But 11 years clean after that. So, good for you, LT. We'll call that a happy ending. A lot of people remember, I believe it was Meet Joe Black, that everybody showed up for that weekend because they released the Star Wars Phantom Menace trailer. And Meet Joe Black was one of the top grossing movies in the country because so many people bought a ticket to stick their heads into Meet Joe Black and then just left. Me and our friends, we went to see another movie that started about a half hour later, and they didn't really check tickets too hard. So we got to hang around for a little bit, stick our heads into Meet Joe Black for the Star Wars trailer, and then actually go see a movie. Well, this was also, I think, maybe the weekend after, but this was also a movie where they were doing the Phantom Menace trailer and had people still come in and, you couldn't go in and watch it on YouTube in 98. You had people, so you had people going in to buy that ticket just to watch the trailer. I told you the Jerry Reed Smokey and the Bandit story. Now, here's a kind of funny thing about the stadiums. The final game, the Bourbon Bowl, was played in the Citrus Bowl, but when they show a flyover they're doing of it, that's actually, was it Williams-Brice Stadium, South Carolina's home field. But the reason they do that, it was probably just an editing fuck up, because Williams-Brice Stadium was what University of Louisiana used as their home field in the opening scenes. So I have a feeling they did a fly over the opening scene and then just somebody, hey, clip this in here, and didn't really check it. Yeah, that's the worst mistake you make. I didn't find out about it until 26 years later. So who cares? 1 month before, here's a sad story. 1 month before shooting started on the Waterboy, Chris Farley died, and Chris and Adam Sandler were very close, and they're getting ready to shoot, and Adam Sandler's like, I can't do it. I just need some time to grieve and all that. Reasonable. Well, apparently Frank Caracci said, I actually think it would be better if you if you did it and just tried to be here, and just because we'll all be around you, because like I said, he always has so many of his friends in his movies, and so I guess he agreed to give it a shot. And Karachi had said, hey, if it's weighing on you, if you really find it, like it's getting too hard, hurting to do it, says we can take a break. But says we can absolutely make this work, and he agreed to do it. And said later something to the tune of, no, it was really good for me. It gave me a chance to, kind of stay in the world, be around people I love, that sort of thing. So good for him. Roger Ebert with his just laugh. I loved Roger Ebert. I miss the guy so much, but I always enjoyed, like, Raj, terrible review, buddy. You missed the boat on this one. This was one of them. That many people enjoy it, and you're getting angry at it because he wasn't just saying it's a bad movie. There was like some bile in it, and I couldn't really put my finger on it, why he just hated it so much. But he every year he would make his 10 best movies of the year, and then his 10 least favorite, his 10 most hated movies of the year, and this one was on it. He had just one of his 10 worst movies of the year. That's okay, Raj. Baseball players, you hit 300, you're doing great. I think Raj as a reviewer is probably like a 750, 800 hitter. So, but I just thought that was funny. And I think that is all I have. So let's take a last look at our comments here. Let's see. What did he say? It looks like we had Jason and Aaron giving each other a little crap there. Tiger blood. Tell you what, it's time for another Propel. Boys is getting raspy. Boys, one last shot here, and girls and ladies. All right, Jason Reeves. Perhaps crack is an exercise mechanism that our hearts need sometimes. You don't know. I'm going to say that I don't know that that's a thing your heart ever really needs. I'm going to use my non-existent medical degree to disagree. You don't know. That's funny. How this movie didn't resurrect Leisure Suits, I'll never know. I don't know. I think there was a resurrection mid-movie, and then his dad, Roberto, killed it at the end. By the way, Roberto, fantastic acting by the director. I just always love that little line about being best buddies, like Tiger Woods and his daddy. I don't know about Leisure Suits, but John's trying to bring back Hefner's smoking jacket. Oh God, has he? We'll have a chat. Somebody had mentioned in like the okay, so LT's not dead. I thought LT had died. Okay, so he went 11 years straight. I apologize. Going back to this, I don't know about Leisure Suits, but John's trying to bring back Hefner's smoking jacket. That reminds me, in the comments, some guys went in and threw some comments in last night when I posted the program on, upcoming program on YouTube Live, and asked like, hey, where was Monday Night Therapy? I tell you what, I don't want to jump the gun. Let's just say I believe Monday Night Therapy will be changing nights, but just so you guys here know that are that interested, it will be changing nights, I believe, but I'll let John announce that. Let's see, we got one more. Adam Sandler also not dead for what it's worth. I didn't accuse Adam Sandler of being dead. I don't know. I just figured. I think I just in my head, regardless of this, I'd considered that I thought LT just wasn't around anymore, and I was just thinking, well, here's the dude who's probably in his 60s, mid 60s, and had a long string of drug use with drugs that do things to your body that your body doesn't really recover from. So maybe I and a pro football player that probably went, left the game with multiple concussions, gave him, and received him that, but, maybe if he's probably, because I'd guess he's probably like 65, maybe a little older if I had to guess. And if he's that old with what his body has been through, then kudos to LT. That I would call that an upset, just given all these guys that die of old age in their 50s just from the abuse their body takes. Oh no. Okay, we got more. We got more on John's robe. I don't like taking it. There we go. John's wife got him a robe that looks like a smoking jacket. He models it in his shitter from time to time. Okay. But when John's on again, could you ask him that? I mean, just John, do you model your smoking jacket in your shitter? And I'll try to tune in and see if we can get a response to that, because that's awesome. Fred's phone, however, is dead. Yeah, I think Fred did not recover tonight. It's okay, bro. We ain't mad. I already told you LT is 65. Okay. So good. LT's alive. I'm happy for it. All right. That is all we got tonight. I want to thank you guys, as always. The Waterboy, sometimes, most of these, I'd like to say this is one of those movies that can come close to doing cold. Like just go find the interesting tidbits, but then recall like scenes and lines off my head. But I always love going through and finding the funny little things I'd forgotten about. And this movie was one of them. I just found, I'm sitting there, just speeding along. Okay, let me stop, watch this scene while I make notes and buzz through it. And I just enjoyed the giggles I got and the fun of being around these guys again. And really, this is one of those casts where it appears that, and I've got no way of knowing how accurate this is, but some movies just appear more than others. Like these guys had a ton of fun making this movie. Like from the celebrities who are playing themselves to the actors to everybody, they just seem to be all in on taking it as seriously as they can, knowing that's going to produce comedy gold, and just seem to have a bunch of fun being around each other and fun making it. Like there's times where you'll watch a movie and you'll think, what a fantastic movie, and you'll find out later they all hated the director, and you have no problem believing that, and you think back about these moments that they look kind of stressed out, and as the characters should. But think Steven Spielberg making Jaws. Apparently he just like pushed them to the ends of their stamina, just all that time on the water and in the water, and let's shoot that scene in the water for the 38th time, and just had them all ready to murder him. And I think toned it down as his career went on, but just stuff like that. I don't think that movie's this way. It looked like they had a good time, so I'll close it out by saying they had a good time. I had a good time reliving it. I hope you guys had a good time. We'll see you next week. As Minnie and I discussed last week, I'm going to start releasing next week on All the Right Movies. So then you got a week to dive in if you go to watch it again, instead of, I think, maybe an hour this time. This week I had some turmoil in my life to get through it, and so I'll try and start setting that next week. Thanks again. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Jason. Thanks. Fuck you, Fred's phone. But everybody who's here, thanks. We'll see you next week. I trimmed about a half hour off this time, so we definitely got going to try and keep you around for 2 hours anymore. You guys take it easy, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. That's it. That is all I got, and we'll see you later.